Okay, time again. Uh, y'all get to watch me get my head kicked in with the bus a little bit. I got a little bit of something I want to say, and then I'm going to throw in some commentary from other people towards the middle and the end of the match, I suppose. 3 matches. Win 1 match. Okay. I guess I'll go with CTF then. Here recently I ran into some issues with Krogers. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Krogers. It's a grocery store here in Ohio. They just recently started using an online EBT service where you can use your EBT card online instead of having to take the card with you and have them ring it through there. Well, in order to even use their service, their online service, you have to give them a credit or debit card number. Now, when I did this, I gave them my cashapp debit card number so that I could actually use my EBT card. So I do my order, and it's a pickup order. So they wasn't charging me for delivery or anything, but they charged $5.88 to my debit card, in addition to charging the full price of the groceries to my EBT card. When I confronted them about it, customer service about it online, they tried to gaslight me. I had to send them a snapshot proving that what they just said was gaslighting crap. And I told them, hey, you doing this and the fact that I have to enter a debit card before you would even let me use my EBT proves that you had intent to screw me. Okay, you had criminal intent to screw me from the beginning. There was not any question about it. Malice intent, I believe, is the legal term. So after a week, they finally get back to me and say, "Oh well, there was a mistake, and we'll refund your money here in another week." Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. You've refunded me. You're going to refund me my money now. After a week, after I've had to email you 3 times proving that you screwed up and that you intentionally screwed up and were intending on doing this intentionally. You were intentionally intending to screw me out of this money. Now, after a week, which it had been 7-8 days, you'll say, "Oh well, you should receive a refund in 5 to 7 days due to COVID." COVID crap my butt. Okay, you, I, and everyone in the world knows exactly what the hell is going on. Yes, you're going to refund me my money. Guess what? In the meantime, that money is being put into a slush fund, and it's being put into a slush fund, and it's being used to buy shorts and this and that and the other. Short-term stocks, short-term loans, lending out short-term loans. All the usual accounting stuff, the same stuff that the state does with child support payments. Because that money isn't in your hands at the moment, that money's in their hands. And yeah, you're going to give me back my 580 now after 2 weeks, and you've already probably made what, quadruple that off of it, along with everybody else that you have screwed in this time. Please. Like, we don't know what the hell's going on. But no, they think you don't. They think corporations think everybody's stupid. Everybody but them and their accountants. The fact is, even though, yeah, they're giving me back my my $5.88, they probably made fucking $30 off of my $5.88 in the 2 weeks that they were able to run shorts and everything on it. So yeah, just another way they screw you. And unfortunately, there's not really much you could do about it. I mean, yeah, I could probably take them to court, but is it worth taking them to court over the money that they made off of my money, when I know that they probably did this to 150 other people? So let's just say it's 1,000 people. 1,000 people at $5 a pop. It's $5,000 that they can use towards buying shorts for stocks or whatever for a 2-week period. So yeah, they're making money off of your money that they stole from you. And if I hadn't pitched a fit about it, you know, nothing would have probably ever been said about it. Most people probably just let that money go. But I'm on Social Security disability. I can't afford to let that money go. But in the meantime, they're going to screw me with the money anyway. They're making money off of my money, so I'm getting screwed anyway. What can I say? There's no winning for us. If you ain't a big corporation with 100 fucking lawyers and accountants and everything else, you're just going to be screwed, period. So, needless to say, I will not use Krogers online EBT service anymore. I'll either go to Walmart or one of the other places, or I will walk in and do my job at the automated checkout, seeing as how they don't bother to fucking have people at work anymore. No place wants any place. Everybody wants to be automated now, so that they can not only charge you, but have you do your own labor. And it really is just a joke. I mean, things are just, it's just, I mean, if you're just going to automate every fucking thing anyway, you know, why bother? None of these companies are trustworthy anyway. There was a time, years back, when they had real registers and corporations were not completely honest, but, you know, at least they were reasonable. Now they're not even reasonable anymore. None of these companies are reasonable. None of them can be trusted at all. At fucking all. Like George Carlin said, they don't care about you. Don't care about you one damn bit. That's all there is to it.
So the second largest bank failure in U.S. history happened at 4 a.m. Clearly, they're trying to do it. Well, they want to do it before the markets opened, and they did it kind of out of sight of everybody. And I'm surprised it's not getting more attention. First Republic Bank was seized by the U.S. government and then sold off to J.P. Morgan with, I think it was $50 billion in federal financing, which is basically like, y'all are bailing them out again, as much as Biden's insisting you're not. So, look, I don't know what to tell you, man. There's some economists saying the dollar is doomed. I'm not here to give you any financial advice, but I think when you've had 3 of the largest banking failures in U.S. history within the span of a couple months, I don't know, maybe you should go seek some financial advice. Not for me, but I know I'm going to be making some moves because I'm kind of worried. What they're saying is that people panicked over First Republic, pulled their money out. Many of them actually went to JP Morgan. But my fear now is, I'm not an economist, but if JP Morgan's absorbing this dying bank, isn't that just going to get people scared?
Have you heard about the Restrict Act, S-686 yet? If you haven't, and you're an American, get ready for a massive violation of your Fourth Amendment rights and a complete nationalization of the internet. If you're old enough, remember what the world was like pre-internet. And what they're doing right now on the internet is the equivalent of the government opening all your mail, watching over your shoulder as you read at the library, seeing what movies you're watching and renting at either the theater or at home, recording every phone call you make, and bugging your home. All and nothing more than a suspicion. Oh, come on, Glenn. Don't be so dramatic. It's just putting some restrictions on TikTok, and that's probably a good thing because, well, the children. Wrong. Welcome back to Renegade News. I'm your host, Glenn Kowalski. Every week on this channel, we discuss how entrepreneurs and other freedom lovers just like you can build cancel culture-proof businesses, create a bigger impact in their business in the world, and completely break free from the system. So what is this TikTok ban Restrict Act according to what we're hearing in the mainstream media? Well, back on March 7th, Senate Republicans introduced a Senate Bill 686, the Restricting the Emergence of Security Threats That Risk Information and Communications Technology Act, aka the Restrict Act, and they released that to Congress. Since its introduction, the bill has been repeatedly cited and sold as just a TikTok ban, but it actually goes so much further than that. But first, before we even go down that road, let's look at it just as a TikTok ban, if that's what it really was. TikTok has been under major congressional scrutiny for years because it is owned by a Chinese firm, ByteDance, and the laws in China require ByteDance to make user data available to the ruling Communist Party. Several US lawmakers have called for a blanket ban of the app, which is already banned on federal government devices and several dozen public university networks. Senate Bill 686 was supported by 11 Republicans and 11 Democrats, so it's definitely a cross-aisle bill, and the White House is very in favor of this bill as well. So it's one of those rare occasions where we actually see true bipartisanship. But what is it really? Well, what it is essentially government nationalization of the internet, and it goes after everything that contributes to individual people's freedom and safety online. The act would actually give the U.S. Commerce Department the ability to ban any platforms with links to foreign governments that they don't agree with. Under Title 15 of the Code of Federal Regulations, the foreign adversaries of the U.S. right now are China, including Hong Kong, Cuba, Iran, North Korea, Russia, and the Maduro regime in Venezuela. And that all is really chilling because basically the way the bill works is it gives appointed lawmakers the ability to ban any app that comes from a foreign country if the U.S. ever has a beef with that country. Now, we list the countries right now that are listed in that department, but you know that those change all the time. So you have to think of the bill in the bigger context. This isn't just apps from China. It's from anyone that the U.S. disagrees with now or in the future. So basically, what it means is if the appointed committee doesn't like another country, it can ban any apps that come into the U.S. from that country. And there are a lot of apps that come to the U.S. that we use on a regular basis that come from these foreign countries. And transparency into the committee overseeing these bans is outside of any Freedom of Information Act request. And the committee can also monitor any U.S. person who's using the internet, no matter how they access it, whether it be a phone, wireless, mobile, home, or a public network. And if someone uses a VPN to access the content that is blocked by the committee, that person could be labeled a threat to national security and face up to 20 years in federal prison or be fined up to, as high as I've heard, $1 million. I've heard $250,000. Either way, it's absolutely insane and astronomical that the fines could be that high. Now, there are opinions that most courts probably wouldn't make that stick, but that doesn't mean that people aren't going to try it and prosecutors aren't going to try using it against you. One Reddit user calls the Restrict Act essentially the Patriot Act 2.0. And he writes, "We should all be concerned about the vague and boundless wording of the bill which would enact this ban." The Patriot Act was passed by an overwhelmingly bipartisan margin just 45 days after the terrorist attacks on 9/11. And it altered surveillance laws to make it easier for the U.S. government to spy on its citizens in the name of national security. The Patriot Act expanded the government's authority to monitor phone and email communications, to collect bank and credit card information, and track internet usage. And we all know that the Patriot Act has done nothing as far as going away or changing it. If anything, it keeps getting stronger and keeps getting renewed. The Restrict Act would expand that authority even further, allowing the US government to censor individual social media posts, revoke internet access, and so much more. So citing it as merely a TikTok ban buries the much more damning language of the bill and makes it seem frivolous for anyone who doesn't care about I don't care about twerking online or dancing to a 30-second clip. Who cares what they do? And that's the way they get these things passed, is by making you believe it's about one thing while under the covers something else is going on. And the Restrict Act affects everyone in the US, and if it passes, things could get really very scary very, very fast. And there's plenty of more ways that the Restrict Act could be misused if it's passed into law.
I've been reading the new Restrict Act, aka Senate Bill 686, aka the TikTok ban. And this is a lot worse than I had actually thought it was going to be. You can grab the text yourself from congress.gov, but basically, they can't allow themselves to have access to your home network. That's because this bill also covers wireless local area networks, mobile networks, satellite payloads, satellite operations and control, cable access points, wireline access points, core networking systems, long, short, and backhaul networks, or edge computer platform. But whoop-de-doo, Basil, what does that mean without the geek speak? Everything. Everything. Everything coming into your house beyond the demarcation point. Everything in my house. They have access to with this law. They will also have access to any service with greater than 1 million persons, including internet hosting services, cloud-based or distributed computing and data storage, machine learning, predictive analytics and data science products and services, managed services, and content delivery service. Oh, wait! Desktop applications, mobile applications, gaming applications, payment applications, web-based applications, all of these, it's covered. Your Xbox Live, your PlayStation Network, your Nintendo Switch, everything, your Steam Market, my Twitch, all of it. But by all means, you keep telling me that a VPN or Tor or I2P is going to matter when we're talking about 20 years, hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines, and you can't access all the rest of the infrastructure because they got it covered A to Z.
Legal experts say that the act is vaguely worded and could be used to restrict a range of technologies, including virtual private networks and VPNs.
That you should too. Because this is not just about TikTok. They have us focused on TikTok and making us out to be like just not wanting to lose our social media. Section 5 considerations, A6. Software designed or used primarily for connecting with and communicating via the internet that is in use by greater than 1 million persons in the United States at any point during the year period preceding the date on which the covered transaction is referred to the Secretary for review, or the Secretary initiates review of the covered transaction, including desktop applications, mobile applications, gaming applications, payment applications, or web-based applications. Any software used primarily for connecting with and communicating via the internet.
In fact, this bill's language is so broad that it could be used to prevent Americans from conducting cryptocurrency transactions or engaging with networks like Bitcoin entirely. CryptoCoin said that although the primary targets of this legislation are companies like TikTok, the language of the bill could potentially be used to block or disrupt cryptocurrency transactions, and in extreme cases actually block Americans' access to open source tools or protocols like Bitcoin. So no matter how you stack it, the attacks on freedom of speech and freedom of expression are getting stronger and more blatant and more forceful all the time, and the penalties for it are getting stronger and stronger all the time if you violate any of these new rules. And the US and Canada, who were once known as freedom-loving nations, are letting their freedom of speech erode. And as freedom of speech erodes, so goes the rest of our freedoms. Without freedom of speech, a country can very quickly fall into the hands of dictators.
Let me say that one more time. CPIW, Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers. Does that define a Social Security beneficiary? I don't think so. I don't know about you, but the definition of the CPIW that I just said right there, that does not define a fixed income beneficiary. Clerical workers is what they said, right? So as a result of that, that's not falling into the definition of a fixed income beneficiary receiving benefits from Social Security, okay? So as a result of this, the annual cost of living adjustments are falling behind significantly there. So realistically, benefits actually should have been going up significantly more than that, right? Basically what happens over the last 22 years, from the year 2000 through the end of last year, 2022, benefits, like I said, so for every $1 that the COLA should have gone up, basically beneficiaries were getting 64 cents. Well, guess what? Over the course of, say, for example, last year, 2022, the annual cost of living adjustment, the COLA, was 5.9%. Well, guess what? Let's just say that the average increase last year, for just example, was $100, okay? Well, if it was average $100, it really should have been significantly more than that, because remember, the COLA in this case, and according to what this study and this report is actually showing, again, paid out 64 cents per dollar. So it would have been significantly more than that, right? Again, this is just 64 cents on the dollar. So basically, long story short, is that the COLA is basically failing all the beneficiaries. However, is this a huge surprise? I don't think any of us are surprised by this. Let's look at this year, 2023. We're in 2023 right now. I almost said 2022. Sorry. We're in 2023 right now, right? The COLA, again, was 8.7% that all of us received back at the beginning of this year in, obviously January of this year. Well, here's the thing. The average increase for Social Security retirement beneficiaries was we got some major problems. Unless Congress comes forward and does something about this, unfortunately, this will just continue to get worse as we get forward into the future, right? So the more benefits should be increased. Unfortunately, if Congress does not change the way that the annual cost of living adjustment is actually calculated, this will just continue. Nothing's going to change, right? The problem will just get worse. And the spread between where benefits should be and where benefits actually are will just continue to get further and further apart, right? So this is the major problem. So anyway, you can clearly see just based on last year alone and this study, benefits for Social Security beneficiaries on average, again, this is on average. Not everybody would be, on the average, but this is just based across all beneficiaries. The average beneficiary should have been getting over $500 more last year just because of this one little change that should have been taking place years and years ago, about 22 years ago. So craziness, right? Anyway, anytime I come across reports like this, I like to bring this to your attention so you can clearly see what is